Hey there, Julian from Memberstack here, and in this video we are going to sync Memberstack with Supabase, and there are a lot of different reasons that you may be wanting to do that, and we won't talk about those specifically in this video, but what we are going to do is walk through all of the steps necessary in order to make that happen. And the first thing that I want to do is talk about the difficulty of this. So I would say that if you have not worked too much with code, have not worked too much with integrations, with Webflow, with Memberstack, this might be tricky for you. That being said, I myself am not really a developer by any means. So going through this, we are going to be doing it as I am learning. And the good thing about that is that whether or not you are a developer, you should be able to follow it because, well, if I can, then so can you. That being said, if you are a developer, if you have worked with GitHub, if you have worked with serverless functions, if you have worked with Supabase, this might be a little bit basic for you, but not sure, so we'll see. And that being said as well, considering I am not really a developer, I may make some mistakes throughout this video, which may not necessarily be best practice. Now, if that's the case, then we may end up making a new video, which will be linked right here. If you don't see anything right here, then that means this is the most up-to-date video. And if you know better than me and I made a mistake, please let everyone know in the comments what should actually be done instead. So, anyways, without further ado, let's get right into it. The first thing that you're going to want to do is create a new app in Memberstack. So as we can see here, I have done that and there is absolutely nothing. It is a brand new app. Let's just leave this for now as is. The next thing that we're going to want to do is make a GitHub repository. So if you don't already have a GitHub account, then you're going to want to create one and then head over to repositories and click new. So here, let's just use the name effective couscous, that's beautiful, that we're given, and let's set that to private. And here we have this stuff. We can just leave that as blank for now. So anyways, let's go ahead and click create repository. And there we go. Now that we have that, we are good to go here in GitHub. So the next thing that we're going to want to do is create a folder on our desktop. So let's just go ahead and click new folder and call it sync Supabase. There we go. So now let's go ahead and right click that and do open new terminal at folder. So there we go. Let's go ahead and change the size of this throughout the video so that we can access it easy. And there we go. Now what we're going to want to do is this right here to create a new repository. So first of all, let's just follow these instructions and do, actually, I believe I can just kind of copy all of this and paste it right in. Let's do that and see what happens. So there we go. It seems like some good stuff has happened. Let's see what happens if I open that. So here we have this README. So that is good. Seems like we're good to go in that front. Let's go ahead and head back over here. Actually, you know what? This is a good place to be. So the next thing that we're going to want to do is go into Vercel. And Vercel is what we're using to essentially make this happen. We don't have control over the server in Webflow. We can't be sending these requests. So let's go ahead and do that in Vercel. If you don't already have an account, then create an account. And then you're going to want to click add new project. So then we have this, and it should, if you haven't already, ask you to connect your GitHub account, and then you can just see this right here. We have effective couscous. Let's go ahead and hit import, and the rest of this, let's go ahead and just leave it blank and click deploy. So the next thing that you're going to want to do is, if you don't already have one, make an account with Supabase and then create a new organization, then create a new project. Organization just going to ask you for like a name and that kind of stuff. Now let's go ahead and click new project, and let's just call this effective couscous. Let's leave that. Okay, we need a stronger password. Let's go ahead and generate one, and you're going to want to write this down and save it. I'm not going to because this is just for the video. So let's go ahead and click create new project. And there we go. So it is creating the project. This might take just a second, so I'm just going to fast forward this so that you can see it when it's done being created. All right, so here we are, and our project has been created. The next thing that we're going to want to do is kind of make Vercel aware of this and make it a bit easier to work with. So we can see this stuff here, project API, URL, and API key. We're going to want to use that. So let's go ahead and copy this project URL, head over into Vercel, and in our project dashboard, we are going to go to settings and then click environment variables. And here what we're going to want to do is go Supabase URL, and then paste that in, add another Supabase key, and then go back into Supabase and grab that key. Now let's head back on into Vercel, paste that in, and hit save. So there we go. Now we got these, and these are going to be important for some of the next things in this video. Now we have some setup work to do, so let's go ahead and go into our folder here and create a new folder and call it API. This is where our functions are going to be stored, which is going to do all of this syncing for us. So there we go, we've got that folder now, and the next thing that we're going to want to do is go into Supabase and actually create our table. So here, go to table editor, and as you can see, we don't have any. Let's click create a new table, and let's just call this members. Keep this on, enable row level security, and then we've got some stuff here. So let's actually get rid of this. No primary key selected, that's totally fine. And then we're gonna do member underscore ID. And this is what our primary key is gonna be. This is basically the identifier of this row in the table, and it is super important to have. So let's bring that there. And let's set it as a primary key. There we go. All right, so now that's a primary key. And then from Memberstack, what is it that we actually want? Well, we want email. We want to be able to store their email. Again, select text as the type. We are going to want to set their first name. Again, text. And we're going to want to set their last name. And again, set that as text. And this would be whatever your custom fields are, whatever it is that you actually want to store. In this case, it's just first name and last name, but add based on the custom fields that you have and that you need. So there we go. None of these should be primary except for this one. So seems like we are good. Let's go ahead and hit save on that. And then we're going to have our new table once this finishes loading. Okay, so here we are, we have our new table, and then one thing that we are going to want to set is a row level security policy, and let's click create a new policy. And in order to make this work, what we're going to say is update from serverless functions. And then let's set this policy command here to all, it'll do everything we need it to do. And then let's go ahead and write true right in there and hit save policy. If you don't do that, it's not going to work. And there are, I am almost sure, better ways to do this, which are more secure. But what I can tell you for sure is that this does work. So anyways, let's go back on into our table editor here and keep that open. And we're going to keep an eye on this throughout the video. Now, the next thing that we're going to want to do is create a file in here called create members or add members, whatever it is that you want to call it. First things first, let's just go ahead and actually open our folder here. So here we are in VS Code. I forgot to say, you're going to need some sort of code editor. I would just recommend VS Code. It's free. Seems like most people use that. So then let's use this and open our sync Supabase right there and hit open. So there we go. Now that we have this open, let's go ahead and click into our API folder and click new file. Let's call it create member.js. The .js is important. And okay, now that we have this file, this is something that we are going to work with. Let's go back into our terminal here and we're going to write npm install. There we go. And we are going to add Supabase here by doing npm install, just like this. Just copied it, have it open my other monitor. npm install at supabase/supabase-js. Let's go ahead and hit enter on that. There we go. So looking pretty good. Now, the next thing that we're going to want to do is go into Memberstack and go to our DevTools here. And we've got this whole webhooks bit, and this is what we're going to use. As you can see, share data when something happens in Memberstack. So let's go to Event Catalog, and we can see here member.created, and let's go ahead and copy this. This is how we are going to tell ChatGPT what we want to do so that we can get the proper code for our serverless function. And speaking of ChatGPT, let's go on into there and tell ChatGPT what it is that we need. All right, so here's what we've told ChatGPT for now. I'm trying to update my Supabase table members. Should probably add some quotes around that just to be a bit more clear. Using a Memberstack webhook. I need you to write me code for a Vercel serverless function. Here's the example payload that will be sent to the serverless function. And I sent that example that was provided from Memberstack. Then I said, I've also created the environment variables supabase_key and supabase_URL, which you can use in the function. I would like to map the following fields from Memberstack into the following columns in my Supabase table. And then what I did was I looked at this payload, this webhook payload, and took a look at everything. So we have email here, first name here, ID there, and then we know how we've set it up in Supabase. For example, member_ID, first_name, so on and so forth. So basically just told it, laid that all out. Then I said, please write the code and send it back to me. So your prompt is going to be some sort of variation of this, and the goal throughout this, and when you're using ChatGPT to help you with development, the goal for all of it is you need to tell ChatGPT everything that's going on so that it can properly help you. If you don't do that, if you just said, for example, I want my Memberstack members to go into Supabase, it's got no idea what to do. It's just confused, and it's going to run you around in circles. So here we've given it everything that we need. And what's going to happen here is we are going to send this prompt, and it is going to send us back this code. And there is a chance, if we did very good with our message and made no other mistakes, that this is just going to be it. And then we're going to be adding members into Supabase. But usually some errors come up. And when they come up, again, we need to make ChatGPT aware of what's going on. So anyways, let's go ahead and use this right now. So let's just go ahead and copy this code. Let's open our VS Code, paste this in, and then Command S to save it. So there we go. Now what we're going to want to do is actually go ahead and deploy this. So back again to our terminal here, what we're going to want to do is the following, right? Git add dot, hit enter. Then we're going to want to write git commit dash m and then something in quotation marks. So for example, added API folder. And all of this stuff that I'm writing, I learned from ChatGPT when I was trying to do this the first time. This isn't stuff that I knew off by heart. So if you're confused with anything, like I said, let ChatGPT know what's going on. It'll tell you what you need to do. So there we go. Let's go ahead and hit enter. And then finally, we can see all this stuff uploaded. Wonderful. What we're going to want to do is say git push. And then it is going to push this live. And if we head on into Vercel, for example, and go to our deployments, there we go, taking a second. So as we can see, it is actually launching this right now, building, and launching. So then what's going to happen is this. If we go to projects, we can see this domain here. Let's go ahead and click to open that. And this not found stuff is totally fine. What we need to do is check this path. So let's do /API, because that's what we named our folder, API, and then /create member. Just like that, don't add the JS. So there we go. It's giving us this, which means it's a serverless function. So nice. That's great. Let's go ahead and copy this. Then let's go into Memberstack and create an endpoint here. Let's click Add Endpoint, paste in that URL here, so it's effective couscous 5 Vercel app /API/create member. This, if you're following the tutorial, is probably going to be the same for you. Then filter events, just member created, and we can just go ahead and hit create. Cool. Now let's go ahead and test it. First, let's just see if the deployment has worked. Yes, it has. Okay, so now let's go back into Memberstack, go to members and create a new member, and let's see what happens. Let's click add a member and just, okay, that pre-filled. Let's click add. There we go. We've got this. Now there are a couple things that we're going to do. Let's go into DevTools here, go into webhooks and see what is happening. Let's see if it says succeeded. Okay, so it does say succeeded. Let's go ahead and check our Supabase. Sometimes you need to refresh, sometimes you don't. But anyways, refresh that. Let it load. And I don't see anything in here. So why is that? Let's go ahead and go into Vercel and click logs. So it says it worked, it says it succeeded, but it is not seeming to work. So again, let's just to be sure, go ahead and try to refresh this here. And again, I don't see anything. So let's just go ahead first and take a look at the code to see if everything looks good. So this is good. All is good. First name, custom fields. That's how we want to map it. Failed. And here we have this message. Okay, so the code to me, to my beginner eyes, looks pretty good. So the question is, why is it not working? Let's go ahead and go tell ChatGPT exactly what is going on. So after some looking, my theory is that it is not working correctly if, let's say, first name and last name are not actually provided. So let's go ahead and go into Memberstack here, take a look at this that was passed through. Let's just set that to raw, hit copy, and then in ChatGPT, what I'm saying is one thing to note, sometimes not going to include the custom fields. They should be nullable. Here's the payload that was sent, and then let's copy that in and paste it. So let's see what ChatGPT says. In this case, it is sending another script here for the serverless function, which is hopefully good news. Let's go ahead and copy this, go back, replace our code here, hit save, and then we're going to go and redeploy it to GitHub. So one thing that I want to note with this is that this is just what you're going to be doing on repeat. You're going to try something. It's not going to work. You're going to redeploy it. Sorry, you're going to figure out what the problem is or what you think maybe the problem is. Get some new code from ChatGPT, paste it in, hit save, and then redeploy it to GitHub. Test it. If it works, works. If it doesn't, then repeat. So that's what we're doing right here. So again, git add dot git commit dash m new function, and then git push. So now let's go ahead and test that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to test it. And if it's not working, then I'm going to keep going through this process. I'm going to take this part out of the video, and then I'll let you know what it is that caused the problem and review kind of the process that I went through. So let's go and give it a go now. Okay, so here we are, and it is now working. So basically what happened was that for the longest time, it was just saying success, but it was not actually being successful. I had ChatGPT rewrite the code a bunch of times, try different things, make different suggestions, and it just kept going. So I got a bit frustrated, and I copied the original message, made a new chat with ChatGPT, and just pasted the original message in saying, this is what I'm trying to do. And it wrote the code, and the code works perfect. So let me show you how that looks right now. If I go here in Memberstack and click add member, let's just do bob@barker.com. Okay, bob@barket.com, that'll do. And hit add member. Now if we go back over here into Supabase, as we can see, bob@barket.com is right there. So great, that is that. Now what we want to do is actually update these members. So here we are. The next thing that we're going to want to do is, first of all, go on into VS Code, and we're already here. So let's go ahead and just create a new file and call it update member.js. And we're going to do something similar. So now let's go ahead and go back into ChatGPT and say, actually first let's go into Memberstack. And then let's go to our webhooks again. go to that event catalog right there, and we're looking for member updated. Member updated, beautiful. Let's copy that. Now let's go to ChatGPT and let's say, so there we go. We've sent it our message and it is sending us this. So looking pretty good, looking pretty good. Might have some good luck here if we paste it in. Hit save, back into terminal, and once more, git add dot, git commit dash m quotes, deleted member. And then we are going to want to finally do, I am drawing a blank git push. There we go. Okay, so there we go. It has happened. Now, yet again, back into endpoints, get that URL, copy that URL right there, go to endpoints again, add endpoint, paste it in, delete member, member deleted, and create. Now let's give that a go. Let's go over here, and this one right here, who hasn't entered anything in, we are going to want to delete. Actions, delete member. Okay, fine. Delete, and then let's head back over here and see. There we go. It's working. So now let's just run through it and see what we've done. Let's go into Memberstack here. Let's click add a member, call it you@rock.com, add a member, take a look at Supabase. We got that. Now let's go ahead and fill in our custom fields and update that member. You, rock. Save. Go ahead and check on that, and you, and rock. Now let's go ahead and delete them. Actions, delete member, confirm. Back over into Supabase, and he should disappear in just a second. So there you have it. Now we have a basic integration between Memberstack and Supabase, and we can do a whole bunch of things with this, and we probably are in some of the future videos. But as you can see here, even if you are not a developer, even if you have not used these things before, by simply using ChatGPT and telling it the information it needs to know, you can do everything that you need to do just like that. So I hope this helped you. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.